Hi, first grade friends. It's Mrs. Pratt. It's great to see you. Thanks for joining me for another lesson. I have a quick reminder I'm just going to read before we start our videos from now on. This is a video lesson intended for the Weymouth Public Schools educational purposes during the COVID-19 school closures. Audio or video recordings of this lesson by staff, students, or parents and guardians are not allowed. Information about this lesson's content or participants should not be shared with others. That's just a little reminder we have to put at the beginning of our videos while school is closed. So welcome! Our lesson is a little different today because we're not doing phonics right now. Right now we're going to work on comprehension. Comprehension means thinking about what you've read. Remember, good readers are doing two things. They're sounding out the words and they're thinking about what they're reading. So I have two of my favorite characters here with me today, Frog and Toad, who you probably remember from reading The Garden in class. And I'm going to model some comprehension strategies for you while we read some of our Frog and Toad stories. So I'll be sounding out the words, but I'll also be thinking about what's happening in the story. And I have to move over a little to show you my reading buddy today, Pinky, who I hope you remember. We talked about how a stuffed animal is a great option if you want somebody to read aloud to. They are cute, they don't interrupt. They're just a cozy, fun way to make your reading a little more exciting when you're at home. So let's start Frog and Toad Together by Arnold Lobel. And as we go, I'll be modeling my comprehension strategies for you. So the first thing I want to think about is the genre, the type of book. In my class, we sang genre, type of story, and there's some clues about what type of story this is, the genre. I see animals wearing clothes, riding a bicycle built for two. That tells me that this is animal fantasy. That's a genre where we see animals doing things they don't normally do in real life. So thinking about the genre helps me understand my story better. So we're going to begin Frog and Toad Together with a story I love called A List. And the next thing I'm going to do for comprehension is think about connections. You think about, how does this book or this story connect to your own life or to other books you've read? And I'll tell you something about myself, friends. I love lists. I love to make to-do lists. I even like to make lists about the kind of lists I need to make. I love the feeling of crossing things off a list. So that's the connection I'm making to this story. And the other thing I'm going to do as I read it is think about the plot. What's happening in the story? The beginning, the middle, and the end. A list. One morning, Toad said, I have so many things to do. I will write them all down on a list so that I can remember them. Toad wrote on a piece of paper, a list of things to do today. Then he wrote, wake up. I've done that, said Toad, and he crossed out, wake up. So he's in his little bed, making his list. I'm going to think about the characters in the setting. I'm going to think, oh, Toad is one of my characters. He is who the story is about. And the setting for now is his cute little house and bed. Then Toad wrote other things on the paper. A list of things to do today. Wake up, eat breakfast, get dressed, go to Frog's house, take a walk with Frog, eat lunch, take nap, play games with Frog, eat supper, go to sleep. I'm connecting that to my life. I love a list of what I have to do each day. There, said Toad. Now my day is all written down. He got out of bed and had something to eat, then crossed out, eat breakfast. I love he's at his little table having breakfast. Toad took his clothes out of the closet and put them on. Then he crossed out, get dressed. Toad put the list in his pocket. He opened the door and walked out into the morning. Soon Toad was at Frog's house. He took the list from his pocket and crossed out, go to Frog's house. So now we're meeting another character, another animal this story is about, Frog, and my setting is changing a little. Toad has left to go to Frog's house. I'm thinking about the characters in the setting, and I'm also thinking about the plot. Toad knocked at the door. "Hello," said Frog. "Look at my list of things to do," said Toad. "Oh," said Frog, "that is very nice." Toad said, "My list tells me that we will go for a walk." "All right," said Frog, "I am ready." So the beginning of the story has been about Toad making his list. And now it's the middle of the story. He's found his friend Frog, and they're going to do some of the items on the list. Frog and Toad went on a long walk. Then Toad took the list from his pocket again. He crossed out, "Take walk with Frog." Just then there was a strong wind. It blew the list out of Toad's hand. The list blew high up into the air. "Help!" cried Toad. "My list is blowing away. What will I do without my list?" Now, friends, we've just come across something else most stories have, a problem. The problem in the middle of our story is that Toad has lost his list. How will he know what to do? I hope this never happens to me with my lists. "Hurry," said Frog, "we will run and catch it." "No," shouted Toad, "I cannot do that." "Why not?" asked Frog. "Because," wailed Toad, "running after my list is not one of the things that I wrote on my list of things to do." Toad can be so silly. Frog ran after the list. He ran over hills and swamps, but the list blew on and on. At last, Frog came back to Toad. "I'm sorry," gasped Frog, "but I could not catch your list." "Blah," said Toad. We have some laughter in the background. People love this story. I hope a solution is coming soon for Toad. "I cannot remember any of the things that were on my list of things to do. I'll just have to sit here and do nothing," said Toad. Toad sat and did nothing. Frog sat with him. After a long time, Frog said, "Toad, it's getting dark. Maybe we should go to sleep now." "Go to sleep," shouted Toad. "That was the last thing on my list." Toad wrote on the ground with a stick, "Go to sleep." Then he crossed out, "Go to sleep." "There," said Toad, "now my day is all crossed out." "I'm glad," said Frog. Then Frog and Toad went right to sleep. That was the solution. They thought of something on their list. Toad wrote it on the ground and was able to cross it out. Pinky, did you love it? She definitely loved it. Okay, so I'm going to read you one more Frog and Toad story. And I want you to talk to somebody at home about these things. Can you tell them the genre? Can you make any connections to your own life? Can you talk to them about the plot, the beginning, middle, and end of the story? Think about the characters in the setting, and then think about the problem and the solution. So I love this one too because it really connects to my own love of cookies and baked goods while school is closed, really all the time, but especially during school being closed. So Pinky, enjoy it, and I hope you all love it, and then you can talk about these with someone at home. It's called Cookies. Toad baked some cookies. "These cookies smell very good," said Toad. He ate one, and they taste even better, he said. Toad ran to Frog's house. "Frog, Frog," cried Toad, "taste these cookies that I've made." Frog ate one of the cookies. "These are the best cookies I have ever eaten," said Frog. Frog and Toad ate many cookies, one after the other. "You know, Toad," said Frog with his mouth full, "I think we should stop eating. We will soon be sick." "You're right," said Toad. "Let us eat one last cookie, and then we will stop." Frog and Toad ate one last cookie. There were many cookies left in the bowl. Frog said to Toad, "Let us eat one very last cookie, and then we will stop." Frog and Toad ate one very last cookie. "We must stop eating," cried Toad as he ate another. "Yes," said Frog, reaching for a cookie, "we need willpower." "What is willpower?" asked Toad. "Willpower is trying hard not to do something that you really want to do," said Frog. You mean like trying not to eat all of the cookies? Asked Toad. Right, said Frog. Frog put the cookies in a box. There, he said. Now we will not eat any more cookies. But we can open the box, said Toad. That is true, said Frog. Frog tied some string around the box. There, he said. Now we will not eat any more cookies. But we can cut the string open and open the box, said Toad. That is true, said Frog. Frog got a ladder. He put the box up on a high shelf. There, said Frog. Now we will not eat any more cookies. But we can climb the ladder and take the box down from the shelf and cut the string and open the box, said Toad. That is true, said Frog. Frog climbed the ladder and took the box down from the shelf. He cut the string and opened the box. Frog took the box outside. He shouted in a loud voice, "Hey, birds, here are cookies!" Birds came from everywhere. They picked up all the cookies in their beaks and flew away. Now we have no more cookies to eat, said Toad sadly. Not even one. Yes, said Frog, but we have lots and lots of willpower. You may keep it all, Frog, said Toad. I'm going home now to bake a cake. You have been wonderful listeners today. And Pinky, you've been a wonderful listener. I hope you'll have a great time talking about these different comprehension strategies with your families. You are amazing readers, and I know you're doing so much great reading and practicing while you're home. Keep up the great work, first graders. We'll see you soon. Bye.